Welcome, listeners, to Real Wisdom with NK, the Midwest Film Festival's podcast exploring the journeys, insights, and lessons from filmmakers and creatives across the Midwest. I got to sit down with my girl, Natasha Parker, and have a real conversation about multicultural storytelling and the importance of it right here in the Midwest. Do you wish there was a financial institution who understood your creative journey and catered to your unique needs as an artist? Well, look no further. Actors Federal Credit Union was created for the creative community, offering real support, reliable products and services, and banking with empathy. With lower loan rates, higher deposit rates, less fees, and nationwide ATM access, Actors FCU has your back every step of your journey. They've been serving the creative community for over 60 years and are here for you. Visit www.actorsfcu.com to learn more. Class was in session today, y'all, and we left with a better understanding of why multicultural storytelling is oh so important and how having the reflection of yourself on the screen is not a nice to have, it's a need to have. In sitting down with our newly appointed Chicago Film Office Deputy Commissioner, Natasha Parker, was a special treat. I hope you are leaving with the understanding that we create the work for us, by us, so we can see us. Natasha Parker was raised on the west side of Chicago and based her 20-year film career right here in Chicago. She has a BA in Speech and Communications, minoring in African American Studies, and later studied screenwriting at the Independent Screenwriters Group. Natasha is a member of IATSE Local 476, the PGA, and the Directors Guild of America. As the first African-American female location manager in the Midwest, her credits range from Transformers 3, Empire, Man of Steel, Chirac, The Chi, 61st Street, and the upcoming Ironheart TV series. Today, we're talking about the power of multicultural storytelling and how authentic representation, diverse narratives, and cultural specificity helps to shape global cinema and audience perception. And I'm incredibly excited to sit down with someone who is a friend, a mentor, a colleague, and an all-around just bad human being, working bad as in dope, working in this industry. Hey, Natasha.
Hey, okay.
How are you?
Girl?
Hey, girl.
I'm good. Thank you for having me. It was a surprise to see it in my inbox, the request. I was like, hey, NK, you caught me at NK. Let's go.
Yes.
What you need? So,
yeah. I love that. I met you in acting class, right? That's where we met. Did we met in Rock's acting class?
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
It was so long ago.
God.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many years that was.
So many.
It's a long time
ago. I want to at least 15 at minimum.
Minimum. Hey, we look good.
Don't, girl. Ooh, thank God for these jeans. What I have found in this industry is that it's all about relationships, right? And I think that's life as well. But what I've also come to realize that not everybody actually gets that.
Yeah.
And for me, I had never thought anything of it. It was just being in space with people that I love, people that I was inspired by, watching people, how they show up in the room, watching you specifically and your talent and how funny you are. And at the time, I was like, you weren't doing nearly all the things that you're doing now, right? I was like, you were acting, I think you had just maybe done Secret Life of Bees, is that?
I did. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Girl.
Yes.
That was like 2009.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because Secret Life of Bees was 2008 and at that time I just was location coordinating. I had just wrapped as a location coordinator on The Dark Knight, went and did Secret Life of Bees, came back and started acting. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your journey. We'll talk a little more about our relationship and all of that, but tell me a little more about your journey and how you got into this industry and where you are now.
Yeah, so I came into the industry late 2003. My first show, Stranger Than Fiction, I was like the token PA, like the Walmart concierge, sitting there like greeting people coming in. And I really didn't have, I met some amazing people on that show that to this day are still friends and colleagues. But they, I just kind of jumped in where I could. They was like, oh, we need somebody to help with crafty. I can do it. At that time, I was, I had a son who was probably about 6 or 7. This was my first job. So I was like all in because back then, breaking into the film business in Chicago, we were still really trying to come up. It was nowhere near what it is now. Did that job, and it was all about relationships. And so on that job, there was this UPM, Karen McCarthy. She referred me for my next job. But that was really, it's relationship based first and foremost, because you got to think about it. In film, you're working with somebody for 12, 14, 16 hours.
Right.
If you don't have a great disposition and if you are not getting along with people, nobody wants to work with you no matter how talented you are.
That part.
And so one job led to the next job, then it went to Prison Break, and it's funny seeing Prison Break right now on Netflix. I'm like, this was filmed in 2005.
I wish crew got residuals.
We're not going to have that conversation because we could.
I'm just gonna drink my water.
Yep, drink some water on that. But I just kept going from job to job to job. Then I ended up landing in locations. And on The Dark Knight, I was a location coordinator. And at that time, it wasn't a lot of location coordinators in Chicago. It was something that kind of had phased out. And then I kept going to the next job, and kept going, and I fell in love with locations, and which you have to be insane to work in locations because you're balancing the people behind crew. You're balancing, the locations. It's a lot to leverage. And at that time, I still had a passion to produce. So I was writing, I was directing independently, and still working in the studio realm. So I took what I learned from the studio realm and put it into independent filmmaking. And my crew, we all worked on the studio level, but we still were working independently. And we brought our talents together. And to this day, we still do that. Mm-hmm. All of us have these different roles and positions. And then I became the first and only Black female location manager union. I'm proud to say DGA. And that was a thing. And to this day, I'm still that. So I am
still to this day the only Black woman.
Still to this day, and we're in 2025.
My God.
So it comes with its own set of, we were just talking about isms. Mm-hmm. So dealing with the ageism, racism, sexism. Yeah. As we just talked about genes. People like, how old are you? What?
Not listening because they think you a child.
What? And now when I tell them I'm a grandmother, they like, what? I'm like, yeah, it was no teen pregnancy, but okay. So dealing with all of those balancing acts and working in spaces where I am looked upon a bit like, can she do this job? Because location managing in itself is mostly male. It's male dominated, and they don't look like me.
Right.
So then you know what that comes with, and so now I'm really focusing on producing and creating our content that speaks and shares what our situations and our experiences have been, to change the narrative of who we are.
And for those of you who are listening and not watching, you're like, stories about us, what does that mean? Natasha is a gorgeous baby doll looking Black woman that, looks like she's 12, but has the wisdom of a 70-year-old woman.
I did get carded the other day.
Hey, come on.
I was like, okay, thank you.
Yes,
I'll take
absolutely,
that.
absolutely. Understood.
Yeah.
I see why. So you talk about, you've been around the world, and you've seen the things, and it brought you to the place where you're like, I'm going to be writing and creating my own content, producing work that reflects me and the people that look like you, right? So tell me, from your perspective, as you've been around and seen all the things, like, where are the gaps and what is the impact of those gaps?
The gaps that I see is, and I was thinking about this when you told me what the subject matter is, right? We have these huge years where we will have a specific set of content that we see. Then there'll be a space where we don't see this, right? So think about different world, right? And what brought this to mind was last night I introduced my daughter to school days. Her and her friends were over. And these kids are sixth graders and they're talking about college. In my day, right? That sounds so crazy and old as hell. But it's true.
Back when I was a little
right
kid.
in sixth grade, we were not thinking about college. These kids now are thinking about college. So, and as I think about it, my aunts and uncles, essentially, they were sharecroppers. It sounds like it's so long ago, but it really is not.
Yeah.
And so she's thinking about college, so we watched School Days. And they were like, what? And so for them, and School Days, it's just something that it's a classic, but it's something that I was very familiar with.
Right.
So there has not been another film like School Days that talks about those moments for African Americans in college.
God, you're so right.
Think about it, right? So you had higher learning.
Yeah.
But higher learning was not just about a Black experience.
No.
I mean, it was about a Black experience, but dealing with racism.
Exactly.
So there were a multitude of topics discussed then, but when you think about School Days, when's the last time we had that? Right? So then we had Different World. After Different World, what have we seen?
This is making me sad.
Right? Stomp the Yard. There you go.
Oh, yeah. Stomp the Yard.
Or Drumline.
Drumline.
But it's, right?
Yeah.
So the experiences. So those are the gaps. Those are the gaps that I see. So if you think about like Stomp the Yard and Drumline, and so for me, those are where I see gaps. And everything is not so sad and everything is not so upbeat, but because that's not life.
Right.
And so those are gaps for me. So I, like right now, a feature that I've been working on for years, it goes back into that realm. So I don't see necessarily my experiences in film media.
Yeah.
So my experiences in college, I went to University of Illinois in Champaign, I don't see that. So I'm writing a movie that is based upon my experiences in college. And so I think that filmmakers have an opportunity to fill in those gaps, not to repeat what we've seen, but to build upon what we've seen and tell very authentic stories into the exploration of our own lives and experiences.
I so wholeheartedly agree with that. And thinking about these gaps, I was like, it really brings such a heaviness and sadness to my heart and the reality of what it is. And, I see my own gaps as well, like that I'll share, and some of the things that I'm writing and creating as well, which you were the most instrumental part of the genesis of that, which we'll touch on in a bit. So for me, growing up as a Black Latina in Topeka, Kansas, raised by a white passing Mexican mother, going to an Irish Catholic private school.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is, girl, you got your own diaspora going on.
Literally.
Like,
literally
for real.
that.
Yeah.
And never seen any stories that even remotely reflected my experience or people on TV that looked like me at all. And it wasn't until, it was like I went in a different world, like when I saw Freddie, and I was like, okay, kind of see. And then when I saw Sinclair, and I was like, all right, I kind of see me, but still it was like, it was like I'm Black and I'm Latina. So there was still part of that story missing for me because that's not what my family looked like. Right. That's not what my upbringing looked like. When I finally watched School Days in high school, it was because my Black friends showed it to me. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know that there was Black Greek life because I grew up knowing nothing but white Greek life, whatever shows that were on that showed like, what Porky's was like, and like Porky's Revenge,
Porky's.
Like yes,
yeah, or Revenge of the Nerds,
Revenge of the Nerds, things like that.
Yeah.
Those were the things that I saw, and then always watching films. What are the Chicago films? Oh my gosh, why can't I think of this man's name right now in this moment? Like Pretty in Pink and
Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club.
those
And what's
things.
the John? What is the director's name?
John Hughes.
Thank you. I was like, John, woo, baby. John Hughes. It was like, and being
Yeah.
able to somewhat relate to those stories as well, but then also like where's my culture within the landscape of that? Like you're talking about your experience in college and what was your experience like, which I'm sure being in Illinois, like it was multifaceted in a way
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Not necessarily. And that's the interesting thing, right? So I've never met someone like you.
Okay.
Okay. And when I say that, people are surprised when they come to Chicago and find out it's still a very segregated city.
Yeah.
Okay. It's still very segregated. And Black and Latinos, we are usually divided by viaducts. And for people that don't know what a viaduct is,
Let them know.
it is basically an overhead, it's a train, an elevated train for like freight and metro. It's not our normal L trains. And so you can be, and I grew up in North Lawndale.
Okay.
And so it's like Pulaski and Cermak, Pulaski and Roosevelt. So if you at Pulaski and Ogden, you literally go one block underneath the viaduct, it's all Latino.
Okay.
It's a total, it's a stark contrast. It looks like you've driven to the other side of town. And so I did not interact with Latinos except in a non-familiar space. So for instance, if I go to a grocery store, things of that sort. Whereas I've talked to people from New York, they are all engaged with one another. We don't have or share those experiences here in Chicago. So we're segregated. So
Yeah.
to meet someone like you that has a mixed life, so to speak, it's a rarity when I was growing up. So when I went to college and I pledged Zeta Phi Beta sorority, we did not interact with other nationalities. We interacted with Latinos,
Okay.
right? Because it was like La Casa and it was the Black House. And so when there were moments and times where we had to protest something, we came together and we supported one another. But that was the only time. So imagine someone being 18, 17 years old going to college, and that's my first time really having some type of a connection or a relationship with a Latino.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So your experience, our experiences, these are things that we don't always see.
Right.
I would love to see your story because everything that you are a melting pot.
Yeah.
So let me see that melting pot story. So this is why it is important that we have multicultural stories out there so other people can learn from those experiences. And then sometimes when you introduce people to something new, they may gravitate. It's a ripple in a river that resonates for the rest of someone's life because that's a new experience for them.
That's so good. And I think what people often don't realize, especially because it's, the dominant culture and those stories that are being told, in a way that as people of color, even though we're the global majority, being in a space where we're always watching these stories, we have an understanding of them in a way that they don't have an understanding of us.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like I can understand, and because I grew up in so much white culture, there's so much of it that I can very much just understand and things that I like and whatever it could be. But then and it was like, and I can see myself in some of these stories. And what I think often white folks or people, dominant culture, and these stories that are being told, they don't realize that if you were to see our stories, you will see yourself as well in our stories because there is so much overlap. And I think that's really what creates synergy and acceptance and friendships that crosses viaducts and lines that people didn't realize were even possible. It's like, and did you ever watch Never Have I Ever on Netflix? Have you seen that?
I have not seen that.
Okay, so and it's about,
but I know the game.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I know the game.
I know the game.
I know the game.
I
Yes,
know
well,
the game.
but
I'll take a few shots like, woo,
and this
okay.
too, right, yeah.
Yeah.
And never have I ever, like, don't need to know all of that information. Don't you ever, this stays here.
Somebody's lying over
Right.
here.
And it's Vegas rules in this place, so don't be telling nobody what I told you. But no, so Never Have I Ever focuses on Devi, a young woman she's an Indian young woman in Southern California who lives in, is in high school.
Okay.
And just her journey of being in high school and losing her dad, and then and the trauma that went along with that, but also the comedy and just like coming of age, that kind of thing. And watching her story, I was like, I'm not Indian, but watching this, I was like, it was so beautiful. There were so many things that I saw that were so aligned with how I grew up or my family, or just like, it's like, brown people be brown, and like there's like so many different ways that you could see similarities, even though it's not my culture. And I was like, this is so entertaining and beautiful. And also educational.
Yeah.
And you get to see how much we are more alike than we are different.
Exactly, because that level of storytelling, because truly storytelling is about someone's experience. And most times we have shared experiences. For instance, somebody's been persecuted, right? You've had persecutions in your own life, even if it was like, let's just say the mean girl at school. Everybody can relate to that for the most part. Even if you were the mean girl, at some point you were in a space where you experienced what it was like to be persecuted by a mean girl.
Right.
That transcends color, culture, ethnicity. So that's why that story stuck with you. And when we have these stories that you can still tell a multicultural story that other people can relate to.
And that's what I always say, like, the story that I wrote the last New Year that you directed, and it's about a young woman who hasn't been on a date or had sex in 3 years, and she vows it's the last New Year she's going to spend alone.
Yeah.
And you get to see her re-entry into the dating world and all the craziness that comes along with that, right? Which I don't think you need to be a Blaxican to relate to her.
Exactly.
And what I always said was like, if I can see myself in Sarah Jessica Parker, why can't Sarah Jessica Parker see herself in me?
Exactly. And a lot of times they will avoid it because who they see on the screen. You remember you and I was talking about we were talking about creating a show. We were going to do it. We were going to, not a show, a short. And we said, okay, we're going to do this short. And it was somebody black. And then we're going to redo that same short and put somebody white in as the character, as the same character, just to see how it surfs the festivals. And it was going to be like our own little psychology experiment.
I would still be very down with that.
We should do it.
We should do it.
We should totally
Look
do
at
it
us,
then.
y'all. Look at us creating something right here in real time. I'm totally down. Yeah, we'll talk. Here's another question I have for you, and I would love to get your perspective. So even when, like, now you've seen, especially post-2020, it's like, okay, let's tell some more Black stories and let's tell some more stories of color, right? And even stories, and I would even say pre-2020 as well. This is a long-winded question, but would love your perspective overall. Like, some of the stories that were being, okay, like maybe the people in front of the camera, all right, that's the story that's being told, but everybody behind the camera don't look like the people in front of the camera or anybody that they're making this story about.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So get me present too, from your perspective, the impact on people telling the stories that aren't in the story, meaning they don't look like the story they're telling.
Yeah. So I have not seen this movie, but I have heard great reviews about it. We grown now.
Yes, I know. I haven't seen it either, and I've heard nothing but good things.
Exactly. But I believe the storyteller is Indian, if I'm not mistaken. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but I know she's not Black.
Okay.
When you are I do not believe that if you can only write stories about your experiences. I don't believe that. I believe that you can write a great story about anyone as long as you respect the culture that you're speaking on, as long as you do the research, and you are coming from a space of respect for the characters whom you're speaking on. I'm never going to say, okay, how can I say, well, I can't tell a story about a white girl growing up in Kansas. If I do the research, I can do it. It's no different than if I say, I'm not a cop, but I want to write a cop show. Right? Because they come with their own stereotypes and problems and things of that sort. It's based upon the research. And I know sometimes people will balk at that type of situation, like, okay, how can this person tell a story about How can this Indian girl tell a story about Black kids growing up in Cabrini Green?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't necessarily mean she has to live that experience to tell a great story. Because you don't know what her research was. I have a colleague of mine, a friend, and we are, he's written this story that is based upon the Native American culture and folklore.
Mm-hmm.
He's not Native American, but I know his intentions are pure, and I know he's done the research. And I believe in that. So you can tell a story that you have not lived, but you have to give the proper due respect, right? Okay, Gina Prince Bythewood, friend of mine, she wrote and directed Woman King.
Mm-hmm.
She's not from the Dahomey culture.
Yeah.
Just because she's Black does not give her license to tell necessarily an African story, but she can't, because I think we hold the license to our culture. And when we believe we hold the license to our culture, and this is how we're able to pass out Black cards, right? We all say that. I'm going to give you a Black card. I'm going to give you a Black card. Tina Marie, she had the Black card.
Mm-hmm. Sheila
E. Right? So you have all these different people that we will pass out Black cards to. So nobody holds the license to their culture, even though we do, but we don't. Right? So Gina had to do the research and give respect to the story in order to tell a great story.
This is so good. Well, two things for those who are like, what is a Black card? Explain that. There are people scratching their heads right now. Let's see if this, I promise you. So go ahead and let them know what a Black card is, girl.
So we pass out these
like
Black
American
cards.
Express? No, not that one.
Yeah, not that one. So it is when you are, okay, we're Black, and we may have someone that's not Black, right? But they could be a friend of ours, a colleague or something, but they stand with us. They respect the culture. Eminem, Black card. Right?
Invited to the cookout.
That's another way of saying it.
Yes.
Somebody that's invited to the cookout.
Yep.
We used to call it Black card.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that's basically what it is. It's like, okay, you can get down with us. You respect it. You understand it. You're not out here misappropriating our experiences. And I'll give you a Black card.
There's some people right now behind the camera got some Black cards.
Exactly.
Yes. Great. So now that they understand that, I want to talk a little more about, okay, if you're going to tell a story that is not necessarily your experience or in your lived experience, what is your responsibility? One, you've uplifted the research. What about the crew and the people that are helping you tell that story?
Girl, let me take a sip of water.
Take some water, get a little stretch your chest a little bit, so get your spine, get relaxed.
Okay. Woo. All right, let's do it.
Let's do that. Let's get cozy.
All right. So, because I work in that realm of working on projects that are considered quote unquote Black projects.
She just did air quotes for those y'all who ain't watching.
Yeah, I literally just had this conversation, which is hilarious. I think there is a bit of responsibility to have department heads, and I'm probably coming from a biased stance.
Okay.
Right? Just being completely honest, because there are not enough of us that are Black in terms of department heads.
Right.
The fact is 2025 and I'm still the first and the only Black female location manager, that speaks volumes. And so I just believe in inclusivity.
Yeah.
I believe in having people give people the opportunity to work on projects that are multifaceted. I was just telling somebody that a colleague of mine told me that, I'm known as a location manager that only work on Black projects. Insulting.
That is wild. That's
Yeah, it's insulting, right? So Ironheart, that comes from Marvel. Mm-hmm. Is that considered a black project because the lead the character Riri is a black female, so that's considered a black project? And then when I was awarded that as a location manager, I literally had people that were non-black asking me, "Well, how did you get that? Well, how did you get that? How did you get that?" And they didn't even realize that's insulting. How you get your job? Oh, how did you? Oh, because you. Okay,
right.
So I think it is necessary to have diverse crews.
Yeah,
it's necessary. Girl, you just really like...
I got you activated, right? Got you activated.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Because I have had to, all of us have. Friends of mine, she's the first black female head accountant, couldn't get a job. Couldn't get a job here in Chicago. And her resume... Adrian.
I was like,
Miss Swan. You already know who I'm talking about.
Miss Swan, right? Yep.
Her resume is insane.
Right.
But she had to travel out of Chicago.
Go to Atlanta?
She went to Virginia. She went to D.C. She did We Are Marshall. I mean, she's done so many. Her credits are crazy. Mm-hmm. And she's been in this for 30 years. I've been in the film business 20 years. Seneca Billingsley. She is a first black female assistant director. Couldn't get hired in Chicago, had to leave Chicago to get hired. And now, people call her to come back in. She couldn't get hired as a first. So it's a very personal journey when I see my colleagues fighting and clawing for positions that they are overly qualified for.
Yeah.
And that they don't always get promoted.
Yeah.
In those spaces. So it's important for us to at least have the opportunity to present ourselves for these roles. Because if we are not department heads, some of us won't have that opportunity. Somebody won't necessarily give us that chance to promote us to this position, to that position. They quick to hire us as PAs.
So quick. All right, go fetch me this.
Yeah, but let me get up in that department head spot and let me show you what I can do.
Actually do. And the uncoziness that comes along with how we are perceived when we are doing that job and doing it well.
Man, let me tell you, I had this production designer come in. I was sitting at my desk, and he came in, and he's looking at my name on the door, and he's looking at me. He's looking at my name on the door. He's looking at me. I'm like, "Hey, how you doing? Such and such, right?" He was like, "Yeah." And then he's standing there. And he's doing his head like this, and he goes, "Huh." I said, "I know. Black, female, you don't know my age. Don't worry about it. You'll get used to it. You ready? Let's go." And I rocked out that show. And he was like, "You were phenomenal. You were great. I would work with you at any time. But why do I have to go through this initial litmus test
That part.
based upon what you see versus what my resume says?"
That part. And I think what is so wild about this is people don't even realize what a disservice that you're doing when you're not telling these stories and you don't have people in place in these positions to tell these stories. Mm-hmm. And just how much time is actually wasted.
Yeah.
So even when you're thinking about like telling a story, like going back to like, okay, we're going to tell an authentic, diverse story, whatever that story might be. Mm-hmm. And you don't have the people in place that are making the decisions that have any cultural connection to those stories. Mm-hmm. From my perspective, what I see happen, and I would love to hear your perspective and how we can give advice to indie filmmakers who are looking to crew up and tell these stories to tell them more powerfully with more ease, is that what happens when you don't have, like, you don't have those people in place, you're then going to a department head that has no concept of what this what the cultural relevancy of a choice is.
Yeah.
Do we really need that? Is that a need to have or a nice to have?
Yeah.
Like, would they really have this rug? Like, if say your art department, like, and you have to convince them, like, girl, I'm telling you, this is the rug that it would be. Just listen to me.
And it's interesting you say that. I remember I was working on a TV show here. And I'm not going to say what the TV show was.
Okay. We can talk about it. We can talk about it in tea time or not. When we spill tea later.
So, yeah, let's talk about it during tea time.
Copy you.
And so the production designer came and asked, okay, so, and this is where it is important that you have someone that understands the culture. Or that, and even if you don't understand the culture, do your own research. Do your research. That's part of your position, whether it is a Black, quote unquote, show or a show that is a Black experience, or it's a show about a trailer park experience.
That part.
Do your research.
Dramaturgy.
Right? So they came to me and said, can you take a picture of what it looks like under your sink so I can see the type of Black hair products you have and how many, what the tools are? And can you literally told me, can you take a picture under? I'm sorry, I'm a location manager. Isn't that your job?
What is even happening?
And then there was another experience where somebody said, well, what does your house look like? Right? So let me tell you, just because I am a Black female does not mean everybody's house is going to look the same.
Right, just because you happen to be Black.
It does, right. Because just because Black does not define what my house is going to look like. I can be a minimalist. I can be Afrocentric.
Look.
I can celebrate other cultures and have all different types of painting and art on my wall that does not necessarily speak to a Black experience. It does not define me in totality. I can love abstract art. I can love art from a number of artists just because I love art. It does not, my Blackness does not define every facet of my life.
And we're not a monolith, which I know people say all the time, but like really getting present to what that means and how this is that thought process of like, oh, well, you're Black, so whatever's under your sink's gonna be under every Black person's sink.
I'm like, what the hell?
Insane. Even during I will say like during the, like when we were all locked down in 2020 and someone wanted to bring me on like a big news show to talk about like, oh, well, you're Black, you can talk about the Black experience, but it was a Spanish speaking show.
Okay.
And for me, the reason why I did not feel that it was appropriate for me to tell that story, I was like, here's the thing. I am Black and I am Latina, because we were looking to talk about the racism that exists between Latinos and Black folks.
Yes.
Right?
And you're in the middle of that.
And I'm in the middle of both. Yeah. And the thing is, I was like, what I need you to understand, yes, the first thing that announces itself when I walk into the room is my Blackness. Well, that's always going to be so. But what I want you to understand is that when I'm telling the story and my experience and you're working to get Latinos to have a better understanding of how they're showing up in their racism and how they can set that aside and their own prejudices. I was like, there's going to be a softening towards me when they see me and they hear my last name because I'm still Latina. So while there is still racism and colorism and all of that within the Latino space, the way that Latino is going to receive me is different than they're going to receive another Black woman that does not have a Latino experience.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, it is inappropriate for me to come in and think that I'm going to be the one who can speak towards a Black experience in this particular way.
Yeah.
I was just very present to like, I'm not the Black person for this job, which you are working to accomplish here.
Yeah. And in the same breath, sometimes Black folks look at you like, how can you speak to a Black experience with your last name of Gutiérrez?
Exactly. And when I didn't even grow up in a Black household, genuinely.
And then it's that. And see, that's the other thing. Just because we are Black, we don't have the same experiences. We didn't grow up the same way. And
That's
I
it.
think sometimes we're placed in a vacuum. All of us are.
All of
and
us.
I'm not just going to say black. I'm going to say every ethnicity,
Exactly.
every race is placed into a vacuum.
And we
We
just
just are.
we are.
And that's the benefit of film media, is to show that just because you see me as this, let's peel back those layers and really see what my experiences are and not be shocked if it doesn't fit in your stereotypical box.
that. And what would be your final call to action for independent filmmakers that need to tell these stories in this way? What would you say to them?
Be brave about it. Be brave. Do not place your ideas into something that we have already seen because you think that's going to get you an Oscar or you think this is what people want to see. You don't know what people want to see, but tell your story for what it is. Whatever that is, even if it does not fit so perfectly in this dichotomy that society has created of what that experience should be, tell your story. Tell your story. Don't be afraid about it. Don't be afraid of it. Go for it.
Thank you so much, Tasha. Thank you for sharing that. We about to spill some tea in a little bit and talk about like some of those unnamed shows. We might be talking about them in just a little bit. So Thank you so much for encouraging us, sharing your story, and really helping us to see a path forward to be the kaleidoscope of humans that we are, especially right here in the Midwest. Yeah. We're such a diverse community, and it's up to us to tell our stories because somebody is looking for it.
Yes.
Somebody's looking for it, and we just got to do it.
Yeah, be brave.
Yes.
I mean, look at that film, Honora. It just swept the Oscars.
Bravery.
Bravery.
This has been Real Wisdom with NK. And if you're curious, have more questions, want to know how you can find out more about Midwest Film Festival, the podcast, and the incredible people that make it all happen, go to MidwestFilm.com. Make sure to become a member so that you can get access to Tea Time with me, sign up for our newsletter, and make sure you don't miss out on our monthly screenings. I know, you heard that right. The last Monday of every month, you can find us live at the Claudia Cassidy Theater located in the heart of Chicago at the Chicago Cultural Center. So we'll see you next time at Real Wisdom with NK and at a monthly screening. Now, if you want to hear us spill tea, stick around and head to MidwestFilm.com for our exclusive after-show content, Tea Time with NK, because the real talk happens after the episode. Let's be serious. So make sure you follow, subscribe, and share the show with someone who needs the scoop. Until next time, stay curious, stay bold, and as always, keep it real.